We've had a number of issues come about that have directly and severely, in many cases, affected our senior population, especially those that are living in senior living communities. And one local expert to talk about the current status of not only his community, but senior living in general in our local area is Adam Sterling. We're pleased to be joined by him. He is the Resident Life and Business Development Director at Henry Ford Village Senior Living in Dearborn. Adam, thanks for being with us today.
Tyler, thank you for having me. Great to be with you.
So tell us a little bit as we go into this today about what senior life is like at this facility at Henry Ford Village Senior Living in Dearborn.
Well, thanks for the opportunity to be here and to do so. Well, senior life is quite exciting, actually. And I'll share with you, Tyler, I've been here, I was just figuring it out, 24 years. I can remember when I started here, it was pretty much thought of as the grandson, and now or the nephew, and I think now I'm pretty much seen as a prime prospect for moving in. So it's been fun to watch the changes over the years. Our industry as a whole is really amazing. It has changed dramatically over that time that I've been involved in the industry. I think you probably have seen a lot of changes in your area, and your folks who watch your show here probably have seen quite a bit of differences in their community. A lot of developers and builders and bringing things to the properties. One of the things that we really like at Henry Ford Village, and I think that many places strive for, is to bring sort of robust programming and the opportunity for folks who move in, depending upon the type of senior community they move into, to thrive. At Henry Ford Village, we've always sort of had a philosophy of trying to attract those who are looking for a lifestyle option, trying to aspire to something prior to ever having a need, but also having the infrastructure to provide for that need if they ever really require any further health care or assistance as time goes on. But we really take great pride in having programming that's quite robust. Uniquely, a few years ago, only going back 2 years, just pre-COVID, we probably would be continuing with this award if not for COVID, but we've had to focus our energies elsewhere. We received the Pinnacle Award from New Step and the ICAA, which is a national or international council. It's the International Council on Active Aging. And it was an award for wellness programming at communities, competition across the country, and even a few in Canada as well. And one of the things they really liked about Henry Ford Village was that the residents were highly involved in deciding the direction of programming and actually implementing it. And I think that's something about senior living that I really like, and I have a lot of colleagues in the field. We all work at various places, and I think it's one of the things they admire here, and I think it's something that throughout our industry, everybody is trying to capture that. What we're realizing is we're coming into what now? The baby boomer generation moving into senior living. This is a generation that's always been very active. They're not ready to retire in what maybe a few years back we would have thought as the traditional retirement, which is perhaps kicking up your feet or perhaps waiting until there's a need that comes across that would precipitate your move into a retirement community, or moving in and just sort of not necessarily being as active as once you were once. Nowadays, people want to move in and they want to do more. Basically, senior living today is an opportunity to come to an environment where you don't have to worry about the responsibilities of caring for a house. It's pretty much, it starts with the idea of maintenance-free living. It's letting go of the responsibilities of taking care of a house, which whether that is actually the need that precipitates someone making a decision, or they are just looking ahead. You know, Peter Drucker says, it wasn't raining when Noah built an ark. And it's kind of the same thing for a lot of our population of seniors. They basically are taking a look ahead sometimes and saying, you know, this house was fantastic for raising my family, but it's not necessarily the right thing for me today or in the near future. So coming into an environment where there is robust programming, at Henry Ford, we have about 125 clubs or activities, programs. We have 30 fitness programs that run weekly. Of our 125, about 75% of them are actually led by residents. And they are clubs and activities, programs that the residents themselves have identified as things they would like to see within the community occurring. One of the fun ones that came across a couple of years ago, but the participation continues to change, is a railroad club. And there's, as I said, there's 125 clubs, so I could talk about any of them. But there's a fantastic railroad group. You would never believe what we have here for a room. And to give you an idea, Tyler, of the change that occurred, when I started here, the room that they occupy now was a shuffleboard room. It was an inboard shuffleboard room. And back 25 years ago, the idea of a shuffleboard would have been an idea of a fantastic way to take advantage of a space within a retirement community. But today, you know, shuffleboard is fine and people do enjoy it. But to occupy a space 24 hours a day with shuffleboard is not something that most seniors are looking for anymore. They want something they can participate in a lot of the day. They want something that's going to draw their interest and provide an opportunity for their creativity throughout their experience here. And so far more engaging as a railroad club. And I have to tell you, the type of people it attracts are people from our STEM group, which is another club, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It's a group that really kind of comes from the scientific background. So within that club is a gentleman who worked on the shuttle program with NASA. And when that ended, he's a U of M grad. He and his wife both live here in the area. They took that opportunity to leave the hurricanes of Florida and return home. And they picked Henry Ford Village because they recognized the lifestyle that senior living can provide to folks. And one of the things that they picked up was creating this training room, which fills the room of the shuffleboard room, which was just one of our biggest rooms. And it's a multi-tiered, three-tiered train operation. It's got cameras, computers. It's absolutely amazing. I don't think anybody quite envisioned what these guys were going to do when they started on this, but we have a couple dozen guys who do that. We have a couple local people from the immediate community who also are train enthusiasts who participate in that, and they are creating this amazing program that continues to evolve every day. And there's many more like that.
We're joined by Adam Sterling. He's the Resident Life and Business Development Director at Henry Ford Village Senior Living in Dearborn. And Adam, these activities are all great, and this is a situation that's definitely much more adaptable to seniors than senior living facilities have been, certainly in the past. But we can't gloss over the challenges of the past year and a half that communities like senior living facilities, and more notably in the state of Michigan, it's been nursing homes that had a number of problems, and there are stark differences that between these two, certainly. But senior living facilities were also not, for lack of better terms, immune to those similar issues. In terms of your organization and your senior living facility there in Dearborn, what were some of the challenges that your team encountered over the past year? Certainly the activity and the socialization had to have been a challenge, but even beyond that, to continue to provide the level of service that senior living facilities, quality senior living facilities like yours, provide to its residents.
Thanks, that's insightful. It certainly was a challenge across the industry, and the industry is broad. The term senior living covers so many different variations of facilities that are out there and the types of lifestyle or care that's provided. There's assisted living, there's skilled care, which is in long-term care and short-term rehabilitation, independent living with enhanced services, independent living. And they all sometimes fall under that same broad moniker of senior living, so it can be quite interesting. I think though, as an industry, I have to tell you, I think overwhelmingly the industry did amazing. It pivoted very quickly, caught just as much off guard as the rest of the country in terms of having to respond to the needs and provide for the security and safety of our populations, our residents, our community. And continue to provide them with the services and provide them with the opportunity to continue to thrive over time. For us, one of the things that people enjoy is receiving dining experience meals, and that would be quite common throughout the industry as well. One of the primary things that we provide is that dining experience. And so folks want to continue to receive nutrition, which would have been very important, as well as socialization. So pivoting from providing basically about 1,000 meals a day primarily in the dinner time hour, to providing breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because we were very concerned at residents having exposure to even going out for or trying to find the resources and groceries to provide for their own breakfast or lunch. At our community, one meal a day is basically included, and so they primarily choose dinner. So we wanted to fill the gap everywhere. And so we would do meal delivery twice a day to their apartment homes, fresh meals every day, quickly providing more and more choice. Because as time went on, as you can easily imagine, meals became a focal point of people's attention. It kind of reminded me very much of school and going to college. And I can remember spending time, I don't know if we called them dining halls at the time, but probably dining hall, and meals would become the center point of conversation, and they certainly were for residents. So trying to find ways to continue to delight them and surprise them and bring great meals to them. The other really unique thing about that was one of the things they enjoy here, and I think you can find this in some other places, is, and I think one of the things they enjoy when they have in-person dining, which they have now, is we actually employ over 100 students from the local schools as our servers. So that intergenerational contact, the friendships that they built, that familiarity and that mentorship is really critically important to them. And they had that opportunity to continue to see some of the kids continue to be our deliverers, and of course with a safe distance, continue to have that relationship with the residents. The other challenge is communication and providing stimulating activities to folks when everybody is spread out and can no longer congregate. We have an internal television station, so one of the real wonderful features was we were able to continue programming through that. As time went on, we discovered this was a tremendous opportunity. We had captured audience, and we could actually bring to them entertainment and activities that we wouldn't normally. Like, they would only come to something if it was live and perhaps we had a bar or food. Well, now in their homes, sometimes we'd show a movie and we deliver popcorn and candy and things like that. Other times we tried some things out of the box. You know, we realized the world was our oyster at this point because people could just come to Zoom and watch the entertainment. And so we booked a comedian out of Vegas. We had shows from across the country and around the world. One of the things, even though we're doing in-person programming now, is, and we continue to adopt, is we're doing tours around the world. We have an active travel club. They go everywhere. But we've continued with the weekly tour. So one day we're in Spain, next day we're in Portugal, we're in Lisbon, we're in London, we're in Paris, we're in Czechoslovakia. We're in South America, and we have a live tour guide walk us through a 1-hour tour of an area. And it's a really cool thing. And I don't know if pre-COVID, anybody would have wanted to come and watch something through well, half the people didn't know how to use Zoom, but to use Zoom to watch something like that. So really kind of, as challenging it was, a neat thing sort of came from that.
We're joined by Adam Sterling, Resident Life and Business Development Director at Henry Ford Village Senior Living in Dearborn. And as socialization starts to come back and we start to have more of these interactions, certainly internally at the senior living facility and other senior living facilities, but also across those boundaries with employees that are coming in and out of the facility each day, and as residents are going back out and visiting family, visiting friends, going out on the town, and so on and so forth, what are the safety requirements in your facility? Are there requirements for vaccines? Are there requirements for mask mandates? A bit of both. What's the status at Henry Ford Village Senior Living?
Yeah, that's a great point. You know, and the residents themselves are over 97% vaccinated, and the program nationwide that went through the pharmacies to provide that was fantastic to work with and be coordinated here on site and throughout all senior communities. It was just great. The staff has done quite well, fairly significant vaccination levels. Anybody coming onto our property must go through a protocol. They answer half a dozen to dozen questions about their current status to make sure that they have no symptoms. They are screened with a digital thermometer to make sure there's no temperature. And when they're on campus, they're wearing a mask. So it's a pretty good protocol, pretty stringent, but it seems to be working quite well. We haven't had any incidents as of recent.
That's always good to hear, especially considering that our senior populations tend to be more vulnerable to severe cases of COVID-19. It's great to hear the 97% vaccination rate, which will help prevent some of those severe cases, and certainly that precautions are being taken. We're joined by Adam Sterling. He's the Resident Life and Business Development Director at Henry Ford Village Senior Living in Dearborn. And just a few more minutes with you. And one thing that really popped out when I was looking up the information about your facility is, and that's not to say that there isn't this kind of inclusion at other facilities, but it's not something necessarily that a lot of senior living facilities or really other living facilities are going outward and saying we are openly welcoming and seeking people from these communities. Your property promotes that they are LGBTQ friendly, and they're very welcoming to various communities throughout our local area, especially considering the diversity here in Metro Detroit. How did word get out about that? How did that initiative come to be? And how does that further set your organization apart from others in your industry and across industries in the local area?
Yeah, thank you. It's something near and dear to my heart. I'm a member of the LGBT community. We know many of the residents who are LGBTQ here at Henry Ford Village, and there was, we began to understand the unique needs of seniors, and I think this is becoming across the country. More and more communities are understanding that we actually have the greatest generation of LGBTQ population living right now. Warriors, they did the battles in social, they've done it alone, they've done it together. It was not an easy time. And today I think many of the LGBT community enjoy incredible freedoms and opportunities because of all the work that this generation did. Sadly, amazingly, given their circumstances, one of their greatest fears in life is this age, and perhaps having to hide their identity for fear of being who they are. When their time of vulnerability comes, should they need care, should they join a community, that they can be who they are, that their loved ones can still be a part of their lives, that pictures can still be out, that they would be valued versus perhaps neglected or maybe even abused. So we identified a program, a national program through Sage Care, which does a cultural competency training program for all staff, including our leadership. Every level of our staff received training, and due to the participation level at which we were active, we received their certification. We're one of only 2 properties in the state of Michigan to have done so, and the only to receive the platinum, which basically says that we had an incredibly significant high level of participation. And it was something that from our board through every single staff member through our residents has been embraced. It has been something that has been so valued and appreciated. Our LGBT residents have the opportunity to be as open about their lives or as private as they want. But many of them are quite open, and they share their gifts, and they are truly respected, appreciated, and valued across the whole spectrum of the community. It is truly a great experience. The more you embrace diversity, it just creates an amazing sense of community, and you get so much from it. So many gifts and talents come to the fore. So it's been a great experience. I hope every community takes a look at that opportunity. It's just a tremendous value.
Yeah, you never learn more about the world and learn more about yourself than you do from people that are completely different than you. And so having that kind of openness and inclusivity in communities, whether it be a senior living community or a greater community, that's why it's so vitally important. Adam, thank you very much for being with us today. Before we let you go, is there anything else that you would find important for us to know about senior living in the local area, about your organization, or any other interesting topics you'd like to discuss today?
Thanks so much. I promise not to take long here.
That's okay.
I can be a bit of a talker. But I just wanted to say, uniquely Henry Ford Village, because I've been here almost 25 years, I know the reputation it has for amazing programming and everything. But we have historically always been a entry fee community, and we've changed our model. And what we're seeing across the country is more of a rental model. So we've moved from, at one time, we used to be, you'd have to put down an entry fee, which would be similar to selling your house to move in, to now it's just month-to-month rent. There's no more entry fees. And I'm incredibly grateful to be able to share that, because that means this kind of lifestyle is going to be far more accessible, available, affordable, and of course, a great value to a lot more people. So it's exciting. So many changes in our industry, all of them great, adding opportunities across the spectrum of what people might be interested in. If anyone's interested in learning more, there's so much out there to take advantage of. I just encourage you to search, find, even come to Henry Ford Village. We have counselors that work with people. We realize maybe this is for you, or maybe something else is. We'll help you discover what it is that you want and where's the best fit. There's an awful lot out there to take in. So I just encourage you to start. As I said in the beginning, Peter Drucker, it wasn't raining when Noah built the ark. Don't wait till you have to do something. Get out there and do it before, and enjoy what are tremendous opportunities and lifestyle choices for you to have. So with that would be my final word of wisdom or hope for you.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.